Hey guys, it is Tuesday morning, April 21st, and hope you guys all had a good Monday and got into the groove of the week and are tackling all your stuff that you need to and got it all organized and planned out. Remember my mantra I put on stuff: plan your work, work your plan, the plan will work. And I'll be honest with you, I find it challenging to plan my work and get things really planned out and stick to that plan with this remote learning. I think when we're, at least for me, when I'm at home, there are so many distractions that happen during the day. It's hard to combine home and work or home and school life. I'm a guy that has work life and home life, and I try not to bring my work home, and now my work is at home, and that seems really weird to me. So I really sympathize or empathize with a lot of you that are trying to figure out what that balance is and how it works. So we started our unit on relationships, and we're talking about friendships here to start with. And yesterday we talked about the fact that God's purpose is to bring us into relationship with other people, because that is a reflection of what it means to be made in the image of God, that God himself is in community. And so we are supposed to be in community as well. And we know that when we're in community, when we're social, when we're happy, we're more productive. But we have to be careful what kind of community we're in and what kind of friendships that we allow into our life, because those both identify us. We get identified by the people that we hang out with, by the community that we're part of, as well as how it affects our future. I was thinking about that identity issue after I recorded the one yesterday, and I was thinking about it a little bit more yesterday afternoon. And I was thinking that, even Jesus, remember some of the stories when he had dinner in Matthew's house, and it said that tax collectors and sinners and all kinds of ne'er-do-well kind of people were hanging out in the house with him, and the Pharisees were watching this, these really, hyper-religious people, self-righteous people were watching and saying, why is he eating with these kind of people? That Jesus was, the people he hung out with, he was being identified with them, and they were really confused by that. So we have to be careful with that. We ended by saying that probably a good definition from a friend for a Christian is a trusted companion, someone that you trust, whose love doesn't depend on what you do. So they love you no matter whether you are always successful or whether you also fail, and whose influence draws you closer to God. That's a big one that I want to jump off with today, because I think that it's easy for us all to say, yeah, I realize that a friend is someone that I need to be able to trust. I need to be able to trust him with my thoughts and my innermost secrets and generally who I am, that I'm not going to be and I'm not going to be rejected by them if I fail, if I can't keep up appearances, as they say, that my friends aren't just going to abandon me. We all need people like that in our life, all these kind of true friends. But what we probably most often forget, even as Christians, is that these friends need to draw you closer to God, not away from God. So that begs a question, right? If you are a Christian, do your friends draw you closer to God? And if you're the friend of Christians, do you draw other people closer to God? Those are two questions that all of us probably need to wrestle with. Now, maybe in your mind you're thinking to yourself, wait a minute, Jesus hung around with a lot of people that probably, weren't very, we wouldn't, if we hung around them, they probably wouldn't be drawing us closer to God. And that's true. Scripture says, remember from Matthew chapter 5, we studied this at the beginning of the year, that we need to be salt and light. Well, salt has to come into contact with basically what is rotting to season it and to stop that. It has to come into contact with wounds in order to heal them. Light has to come into dark places. Yes, all of that is true. But there is a difference between coming into contact with those things so that our saltiness has the ability to flavor life, to preserve life, to change life, to bring light into darkness, and then hanging out in there in a way in which we are friends. You also memorize from James, being friends with the world makes us enemies of God. So, friendship has something to do with supporting people and supporting the agenda of others. And so the agenda of a real friend is not just one that can be trusted or one that's loyal and sticks with you whether you're having your best day or your worst day, but it's also someone who is growing spiritually and drawing you closer to God. And that's probably a component that gets left behind. And so the Bible has some really good examples of friendships like this. If we look in the Old Testament, we might see the friendship between Moses and Joshua. Joshua, of course, was the successor to Moses, and they became quite close. And Moses had tremendous trust in Joshua, and Joshua saw Moses when he was at his best and when he really wasn't at his best. We can see in the New Testament friendships like Paul and Timothy. Timothy was a young pastor, a believer and young pastor, and Paul really took him under his wing and gave him a lot of encouragement, wrote a couple of letters to him that are in the New Testament. But we see a very godly relationship and nurturing relationship there. Maybe even one that's more historical than in Scripture, but Peter and Mark, though we read about it in the book of Acts and again in Peter's letters, Peter and Mark are very close. In fact, so close, Peter refers to Mark as being like his own son. So we have some very deep friendships there. Christians are commanded to love others. John 15, 12 and 15, 17 both command that. So the question that I wanted to leave with you guys today, that I want you to answer in the comments or reply is, I want you to go into Scripture and I want you to find an example of a friendship in the Bible, a good friendship in the Bible, one that I didn't mention in those examples, and then answer this question from that. What is the evidence in this friendship that these friends were not just trustworthy for each other, were there through the good times and the bad, but they were drawing each other closer to God? What's the evidence? Give me an example from their friendship that they were drawing each other closer to God. Look forward to reading them. Have a great Tuesday. Love you guys. Bye.